Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my spoiler-free review of Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. In this review, I'm going to start off by just giving you some of my overall thoughts on the book before moving into more specifics like the plot, world building, pacing, characters, and writing style. I went into this book already expecting to enjoy it because I enjoyed Margaret Rogerson's debut novel, An Enchantment of Ravens, when I read it a couple years ago. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did because I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, this book just made me so happy. It was so much fun to read. I found the story to be so wholesome and whimsical. While I loved this book a lot, I do think that a lot of people will think that it's nothing special. It definitely has elements that we've seen in other YA fantasies in the past. But I just felt at home while reading this book, and it reminded me a lot of my favorites that I've read in the past, like books by Diana Wynne Jones, or Cinda Williams-Chima, or the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. The main character in this story is Elizabeth. She is an apprentice at a magical library. In this world, there are grimoires that are basically alive and they have personalities. The more dangerous the spells within the grimoire, the more dangerous the grimoires are, and the ones that are really dangerous are locked up and guarded by people called wardens, whose job is to protect society from these dangerous magical grimoires. Elizabeth is an apprentice at one of these libraries, and she hopes to one day become a warden. The story really gets going when one of these dangerous magical grimoires escapes and Elizabeth is able to save the town from it. But then she is accused of being the one who let that grimoire free in the first place, and she has to go to court to defend herself and ends up working with a sorcerer named Nathaniel. And this is initially difficult for Elizabeth because she believes that all magic and sorcerers are evil because magic is what creates these dangerous grimoires. The setting is a bit of a historical fantasy setting with a society that reminds me a little bit of like the 1800s with carriages and parties and gossipy social circles. The sorcerers in this book get their magic by summoning demons and bargaining with these demons. Then the demons become tied to the sorcerers and lend them their magic. The main sorcerer that we are familiar with in the story is Nathaniel, and he's quite powerful, especially considering how young he is. His demon is named Silas, and Silas was definitely one of my favorite characters in this book. He reminded me a lot of Bartimaeus from the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. Not only is there a summoning element that is similar, but the main character in that book is also named Nathaniel. One thing that was interesting is that you don't really know whether or not to trust Silas because at his core, he is a demon and he's all out for himself. But also because he's made a deal with Nathaniel, you get to see a softer side to his character. I also loved Nathaniel as a character. He is the love interest in the story. There is some romance, which I absolutely loved the romance in this book. I thought it was sweet and so cute, but I think some people might feel that it happened a little too quickly. Nathaniel is this guy who comes off as being confident and maybe even a little bit cocky, but it turns out that he's a lot more than what you see on the surface, and he's even hiding some secrets. Our main character, Elizabeth, is a bit of a naive character. She has grown up in this library and has been sheltered most of her life, and a lot of the story is about her learning more about the bigger world outside of the library, and she's learning that the world might not be as black and white as she thought. I found this book to be a page turner, and I felt like things were constantly happening. I was always wanting to know what was going to happen next. I do think that there were some plot points that I saw coming from a mile away, and I think for some people that might take away from the enjoyment of the story, but I personally didn't mind it. I didn't feel like these things were meant to be big twists and surprises, and I enjoyed being able to figure out those elements before they happened. I really enjoyed Margaret Rogerson's writing style. She has beautiful prose that leans a little lyrical without overdoing it. She also has this witty sense of humor that she writes into her characters that I really enjoyed. And just like in Enchantment of Ravens, this book made me laugh multiple times. I really like the ending of the story, and I honestly wish that it wasn't a standalone. I would love to get another book set in this world and with these characters. I want to know what's going to happen next to them. This is definitely going to be one of my favorite books that I read this year, and Margaret Rogerson has become one of my favorite authors. As much as I love the plot and the characters, the thing that really put this over the edge for me was just the feeling that I got while I was reading it. It made me so happy, and I just felt so at home while reading this book, and it reminded me of a lot of books that I've read and loved in the past. This was just such a magical story, and I loved every single second of reading it. Alright, those are all of my thoughts on Sorcery of Thorns. If you guys have read this book or want to read this book, let me know down in the comment section, but please keep your comments spoiler free. If you'd like to talk spoilers with me, feel free to direct message me either on Instagram or on Twitter. I'd love to talk spoilers there. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.